Well, hello, everyone. Bob Savage here in studio, along with my co-host on the Second Amendment radio show on the WYSL stations, Bill Robinson. We call him Doc. And this is the first in a series of recorded segments. We're doing conversations with folks affected by our beloved New York SAFE Act, as well as the mental hygiene law that intersects with that. Our first segment today is going to be a conversation with Don Montgomery. And you may recall his name from some high-profile litigation, right? Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is, you're well-known, Don, throughout the state of New York. Everywhere I go, people are concerned about our civil liberties being violated. And, of course, your case is a nice case to work on, and Paloma's been handling that very well, and we're very impressed with what happened so far.
Let's get to know Don Montgomery, first of all.
Yes.
Bill, what do you say? We have him in studio, and Don, we're very pleased to have you with us here today. We want to delve into your story a little bit about how you came to find yourself afoul of the SAFE Act and the mental hygiene provisions. What happened to you?
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. My odyssey began in May of 2014. I was having difficulty sleeping due to the fact that I was moving from Suffolk County up into this area, and I was having difficulty sleeping because of that. I voluntarily went to Eastern Long Island Hospital, that's in Greenport, Long Island, New York, to be treated for insomnia. I was there for 2 days. I was treated for my insomnia successfully, and I was released 48 hours later.
So you spent a night there?
2 nights.
You're 2 nights in the hospital.
I went in there on a Friday afternoon, and I was released on a Sunday morning.
Okay. And so they just diagnosed you, and they gave you some form of treatment, and that was it. You've never had this kind of problem before? Or?
Slight sleeping sometimes when I was in patrol, working around the clock. I would have difficulty sleeping at times, yes.
Okay. And so your general practitioner recommended that you go to the hospital? Or?
I wanted to go myself because I was having difficulty sleeping. And as I said, I went originally to the hospital and was prescribed medication, which did not work. So I voluntarily went back to the hospital approximately 2 weeks later and for more treatment, and I was admitted at my request.
So what happened then? So now you've had your treatment for the insomnia. Now you're sleeping again. You're getting settled down in your new place, and all of a sudden, the long arm of somebody reached out and tapped you on the shoulder.
Approximately 7 days later, after my release from the hospital,
7 days.
7 days. I received a telephone call from the sheriff's department saying that I had been adjudicated as being involuntarily committed to a mental institution, and that my guns were being seized, as well as my pistol permit. So I took my guns out, had them prepared, unloaded and everything on the table when the sheriff showed up, and he took both 4 weapons, handguns, as well as my pistol permit, and gave me a receipt and left.
Okay. Now let's go ahead, Doc. You
Well,
want to ask
one
something?
question I get hit with all the time: when they showed up at your house, what kind of papers did they show you? What kind of authority did they use to take those guns from you? Because our listeners want to know. I mean,
None whatsoever, other than the verbal telephone call saying they
So
were
a
coming.
telephone call, with that, they took your guns.
There was
Yes.
no warrant.
No,
there was
that's
no,
what I mean. With no
Definitely
paperwork,
not.
meaning no
Definitely
warrant.
not.
All right, and then the other question that's going to come up, our listeners are going to be concerned about, okay, you have a pistol permit issued by the state of New York in that county, whatever county that was.
Suffolk.
Fine. All right, so they took your handguns.
Correct.
Did they take any long guns at the same time?
No.
Okay, so this time they didn't. That's good. Okay, good. Very good.
Okay.
Go ahead, Doc.
Did you at any time, Don? We're speaking with Don Montgomery, by the way. Did you appear before a judge, a magistrate, or someone to tell your side of the story about what had happened to you with your insomnia?
It was absolutely absolutely no due process as far as the sheriff's department was concerned. I expressed my concern to them numerous times over the telephone. I even wrote a letter, copied to the hospital, saying they had made a mistake and I had not been involuntarily committed. And I copied that to the state police as well as Suffolk County Police, Suffolk County Sheriffs. And I received a letter in return from the hospital saying, yes, I had been involuntarily committed to the institution, to the hospital.
Based upon what, I'm curious to know. You
Based
don't know.
upon,
Rhetorical question, I'm sure.
she grabbed it out of the air. I don't know where this involuntarily committed is coming from.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
normally when we do armed security a lot at different facilities. If they got a problem with some nutcase comes along, and we got to have them arrested on some kind of mental health issue, someone's got to sign some document, some piece of paper, someplace. I mean, you just can't. Somebody's name's got to show up someplace to send somebody or to have them arrested or to have their guns removed. And you saw no documents. I want to make that clear to our listeners at this point. You didn't see one document signed by any hospital employee or hospital, say a doctor there at the hospital, or from some law enforcement officer that outright says that you were incompetent or had a mental issue?
At what phase are you talking about?
At any phase, basically. Did anybody actually say that they thought you were? Did you ever see anything in writing saying that you
No,
were?
actually, I can't recall the doctor's name, but he said that I shouldn't have been in the hospital.
Well, there you go. Okay, very good.
Okay,
that's
let's-
what we want to get to. Go ahead.
Doc, let's hit the pause button here for just a minute because I want the folks to get to know Don Montgomery a little bit. Because right now we're just hearing this tale, and we want to get his background because that's germane to what's going on here. You're a veteran
Correct.
of which conflict?
Vietnam.
Okay.
2 years in wartime areas, 4 years total. 30 plus years in the Suffolk County Police Department, retired as a detective sergeant.
I'm sorry, you were in the Army in Vietnam? Or?
I'm sorry, Navy.
Navy, okay.
Navy.
All right. Now, as a member of the U.S. Navy, here's the attorney in me coming out. Did there ever come a time when you had occasion to use firearms?
Well, big ones, 5-inch 38s.
Well, that was part of basic training. Did you ever have any sidearms, I'm assuming?
Yes, 45 caliber.
Right, so you're proficient on the range and you knew how to handle a gun.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. And then, curiously, you found yourself pursuing a career in law enforcement.
Correct. In 1975, I joined the Suffolk County Police Department, retired in 2005, a little over 30 years.
Did you ever have occasion to use firearms in that line of work?
Training every year, and after I retired, from 2005 to 2015, I don't remember which year it was, but I became trained in HR 218. Every year I would requalify on the pistol license.
Is that what HR 218 means?
It's for retired policemen.
Okay.
To
It's
get those
the
credentials.
permit to carry throughout the country.
It gives you like a
So you have
nationwide carry
a
permit.
national carry permit.
Yeah, that would be for the police, retired police officers.
And I'm not aware of, Bill may know this, the answer to this, and Paloma may know the answer to this, but those permits are not issued to civilians, are they?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, all right. So you had a long history of certification in the use of firearms, and you're proficient in the use of firearms. You regularly trained and practiced. Did you do any sport shooting at all?
No, I wasn't a big sportsman, but I was very proficient with the use of handguns. As I say, every year I would qualify.
Don, did you ever have any cases of accidental discharge, any accidents involving firearms
No.
in your home that, something slipped and went off, or you're cleaning a gun, or...
No, nothing like that.
Okay, all right.
And then criminal records, obviously you clean criminal record.
Yeah.
All right. And no previous mental history as far as when you're on the force,
No.
having to take special drugs or anything assigned.
Nope. Like I say, I had difficulty sleeping.
Yeah,
in
no.
the past.
What? But this is not a chronic, ongoing thing. Were you ever treated for any conditions such as depression?
Well, sleeping, yes.
But overall depression, you weren't put on some kind of hypnotic drug because you were chronically depressed.
For sleeping, back in the 80s, I think it was.
Okay.
1980s.
So this is just something that has to do with your body chemistry. Sometimes you can't sleep. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I was working around the clock is what it was.
Well, there you go.
And then the other areas of concern our listeners would be curious about is, at any time, did anyone accuse you of threatening them with a firearm of any kind?
Absolutely
So you
not.
had no accusations against you?
None whatsoever.
And did you ever make any statements such as, I'm interested in committing suicide, or I'm depressed enough to commit suicide? You didn't mention that word at any time in any way?
Absolutely not.
See, these are critical things to cover. Okay.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that we have
So we
the
got
full
everything
record
covered here.
in front of us. So now, Don Montgomery, your guns are gone, your permit is gone. There's no official document that has been given to you other than a receipt for for the guns that were taken. So what happened next? Because we've gotten to a place here where litigation, of course, has been instituted against the state of New York. How did that come about?
Well, when we finalized the move and moved up into Fairport, New York, I contacted Paloma Capana, my attorney, and had a meeting with her, and things progressed, and she took it from there.
Very good. So now you have a case pending against the state of New York.
Correct.
And how's that going?
It's going well as far as I'm concerned. I was very impressed with Paloma's court paperwork. She didn't miss a trick, or a thing, I should say. It covers everything, how my rights were violated, various, not afforded due process, being treated like dirt, basically.
And officially, the title is Montgomery versus Cuomo versus the governor for civil rights violations. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's the title.
And now that's a federal lawsuit. Now you've got a state lawsuit against the Suffolk County clerk. Or no, I guess it's a sheriff, I'm sorry.
Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, yes, who issued the license originally upon my retirement.
Okay. Now you've won in the state court, and now I will probably deal with this more with Paloma when we get to her segment here. But right now the status of things is that the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department has to produce some documentation of their case against you.
Well, my understanding is that Judge Martin from Suffolk County has ordered the Sheriff's Department to afford a hearing to me, so I will have some sort of due process, and that's where it stands right now.
Don, with your background, in law enforcement and having served your country in Vietnam and having had this long history of handling firearms safely, without any incident, and then summarily to have your rights, which are guaranteed, as we all know, under the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and its counterpart in the state constitution. How did that make you feel? I mean, you must have felt like you're stepping through the looking glass.
Well, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, I've served honorably in the police department as well as in the military. I was awarded the Departmental Bravery Medal when I was in Suffolk County Police Department for life-saving in a house fire. I've never been involved in anything negative. I was a commanding officer as a detective sergeant. So I thought I was just treated horribly. And if I was such a danger with these guns, why did they call to make an appointment to come pick them up if I'm a raving lunatic?
Wouldn't sirens be screaming and there be a
Helicopters.
patrol car in front of your house within the hour to confiscate these guns?
That's my point. It's ridiculous. It's a gun grab, basically. That's all it is.
But see, the reason I asked you that earlier about did they only take your handguns, because if you were a threat to the community in any way, shape, or form, and they thought you really were,
Any firearm?
they would have searched your whole house and grabbed every gun you own. and hauled them out with the ammunition, because that's their standard procedure now. That's what they've been doing all over the state, not just the state, but all over.
Okay.
So,
as I understand this prosecution under a provision of the mental hygiene law, one would also think that they might not limit their concerns about you, Don, just doing the devil's advocate thing here, to firearms. I mean, how do they know that you don't have explosives in the house? How do you know that you don't have some other harmful kind of substance there? Did they conduct a search of your house at all?
Bottom line is they were just doing a knee-jerk reaction to what the state police told them to do, and they didn't, in my opinion, have any thoughts that I was danger to myself, the community, or anybody. They were just, it was a knee-jerk reaction from orders from on high from the New York State Police.
So there's no public safety component in this case at all. If
I don't believe there is at all, and I don't believe that they believed it either.
Right.
This
from an individual who has a long history in law enforcement, ladies and gentlemen. So, Don, what do you say to people who are concerned about running afoul of this mental hygiene law as it interfaces with the SAFE Act in the same way that you did? What advice would you give folks who might be confronted with this?
Well, I don't want to be flip, but if you're near a state line, cross the state line to go get whatever help you might need. Get away from New York State safe law, if possible.
Don, before we wrap up the segment, do you have any further advice or thoughts or comments on your experience?
I'm still in shock. Let's put it that way. I can't believe in this day and age with my background, my police 30 years as a police officer, absolutely clean record, that something like this could happen to me.
Strike you as the kind of thing that would happen in a totalitarian regime that you would think is entirely removed from the values of the United States?
Well, they claim that that's what happened during the Nazi regime. They confiscated the guns. That was one of the first things they did. I'm not comparing this to the Nazi regime, but I'm saying it seems to be going along the same lines.
Without running afoul of Godwin's law here, but I understand what you're saying. Well, Don, you got to be looking forward to getting some relief in this case.
I'm looking forward to having my day in court for sure. Yes.
And telling your side of the story, and
Correct.
and hopefully maybe setting a precedent that would benefit other people.
Yes.
Well, on behalf of the radio station, Second Amendment Radio, and all of our brothers and sisters in scope and everything, we extend our best wishes to you, and we're solidly behind you. And thanks for hanging in there and fighting the good fight on behalf of the Second Amendment and gun owners everywhere in New York.
Well, thank you very much, and I'd like to thank my attorney, Paloma Campana. She's done a fantastic job.
She's pretty good, huh?
appreciate it. All she's doing, and we want to mention, because this is a legal, we're in major legal battles, folks, throughout the state of New York. We want to mention our Legal Defense Foundation, brand new Legal Defense Foundation. I'll give you the address. The address is P.O. Box 45, Marathon, New York, 13803. That's Legal Defense Foundation, P.O. Box 45, Marathon, New York, 13803. Now, why am I saying this now is because we need help. We need your support out there. We can't, Don needs help. Paloma's been working day and night on many cases, and on Don's especially here. We can't continue to allow the government to get away with what they're getting away with. And the only way to stop them is legally right now. We got some serious problems. And while I'm covering the legal stuff here, if you're interested in doing some research on this or checking it out more thoroughly, check out Paloma's website and blog. And her website is law-policy.com, law-policy.com. And I'll give you her phone number. It's area code 585-377-7260. That's 585-377-7260. Paloma Campana is our civil defense Second Amendment lawyer. She's been fighting day and night for the last basically 3 years on multiple cases helping us. So with that, anything else in closing, Doc?
I think that's pretty much it. And we'll have some other segments as well here on the website. We'll be talking with Donna McKay and also with Paloma herself, the Second Amendment attorney. Thanks for checking out the conversation, and we'll see you next time.